Hi, my name is Noel, I'm a psychotherapist. Welcome to this video. If you're watching this on my YouTube channel, please do subscribe. If you're watching this on my website, then enter your contact details into the contact page and I'll send you these blogs on a regular basis as I make them. Today's blog is about self-esteem. Self-esteem is the ability to feel confident about your own worth and therefore your own abilities. So confidence in oneself, essentially, is where it comes from. And then your actions in the world and your relationships to other people reflect that confidence by what we call confirmation bias, actually. If you have low self-esteem, you will have created situations in the world in which that will confirm your low self-esteem to you, probably unconsciously. So we need to sort of get to a point, if that's where you are, we need to get you to a point where you can observe those things that you've created and change the patterns. If you're going to start to improve your self-esteem, and I suggest you do, it's not arrogant self-esteem, it's not narcissism, it's just a belief in yourself based upon a correct relationship to reality. So you'll be assessing reality and also engaging in what we call estimable actions. And estimable actions are actually quite challenging things to do because they take us out of our comfort zone. So you will be able to measure your progress in very direct ways. There's old axioms from thought going way back in time, spiritual axioms about self-enlightenment comes through a rocky road, if you like, a difficult, through challenging events in one's life. And by getting through those challenging events or setting oneself those challenging tasks, one achieves things. The Homeric Iliad, on all that sort of stuff, all these stories that go back way back in time contain this sort of essential wisdom that we have to challenge ourselves in relationship to the world and improve ourselves in relationship to the world. And that's where self-esteem essentially comes from. But if you're trapped in a low self-esteem situation and you've got this confirmation bias, i.e. your internal world is acted out in the external world, how do you get to the point of beginning that journey? Here's a few thoughts on that, a few tips and techniques to get you to that point where you're then in a better relationship to reality. But just a word of warning, I suppose, before you embark upon this journey. You may well lose some friends and you may well lose some other relationships that are even closer than your friendships. If you are indeed in a situation where your confirmation bias, your low self-esteem confirmation bias has created a network of people around you that confirm that sort of low opinion of yourself, then there may be some relationships that need to end. If there are relationships you have which are confirming your low self-esteem but they can't end, maybe you're stuck in a job or something like that, then it's about finding a relationship to that person, to that situation where you understand that that's their stuff and that you no longer take that on board, that you understand the projections from them are just stuff that they don't want to own and process about themselves, issues about themselves that they don't want to deal with, and that you detach in a loving manner, but you detach in a loving manner from those projections and learn to protect yourself from that and not take them on board as evidence of your own low self-belief. Okay, so how do you get to that point of understanding that you may be in a position where you're creating this misery for yourself in one sense of it? Mindfulness is really good. We need to get to a position, I think, where we are able to observe ourselves, monitor ourselves, if you like, in a neutral manner. And sort of meditation, particularly mindfulness meditation, gives us that capacity to take what's called the observer position, to look at our thoughts and our feelings without attaching any sort of pejorative statement to them. So they're not good or bad, they just are. Once you're in that relationship to your own thoughts and feelings, you can then make decisions about which ones you want to keep and which ones you want to let go, which version of yourself is the version of yourself you want to work on. And letting those feelings and thoughts pass, I mean, there's lots of techniques in mindfulness. One of them is to imagine the thoughts and feelings as clouds in the sky and let them pass. If you haven't started meditating, I would sort of seriously encourage you to get on with it now. Learning that observer position gives us much more personal power to make decisions about what's happening on a day-to-day basis or moment-to-moment basis. Getting rid of pejorative statements, ought, should, must, could have, all of those types of words. A good way to do that is thinking of some of the sort of CBT stuff. I don't know if you've done cognitive behavioural therapy, I could teach you it, but using thought records and capturing those types of thoughts, which are about should, must have, ought have, all of that sort of pejorative labelling. Essentially what those types of words say internally is I'm bad, I've failed. So getting rid of those words and replacing them with, maybe it would have been better if I'd done that, or I could have done this, and thinking of other ways, more compassionate ways of talking to yourself internally. Disconnecting from the need to get self-worth through your relationships is a very, very strongly recommended thing that you do. I think one of the sort of vicious cycles we get into in low self-esteem is needing people more and more, but the people we tend to attach to are those that confirm our own internal opinion of ourselves. So that becomes a vicious cycle. So if you have a low self-opinion of yourself, then you'll attach to people who confirm that you're not very good, and that then you have evidence to prove to yourself that I'm not very good, I'm not a very worthwhile person, and that's a vicious cycle to get caught up in. So you need to learn to detach from those types of relationships where they are confirming a bias in your mind that is negative, and then sort of learning the skills of holding those people sort of at some distance emotionally, through your mindfulness, through other techniques, like you might learn behaviours that where you assertively communicate that you don't want to hear something from somebody if they're making a command statement, you should do this. You might want to be able to learn how to say to people, look, I prefer if you don't talk to me in that manner. I prefer if you want to share your thoughts with me. That's great. I understand that you have my best interests at heart, but if you can avoid command statements, I'd really like that. Learning to communicate that way in people can be sort of very estimable in oneself, and very assertive in communicating to other people that something has changed. As you can see, you may lose some of the people in your life if you start talking to them in that way. Some people are sort of in our lives are there because they need to project out their own stuff and they can't bear their own sense of failure. So they're looking for people who will take that stuff away from them. Once you give it back to them, they may well go, I don't want this relationship anymore. Learning to forgive is really important in terms of developing better self-esteem, and really it's forgiveness of oneself, letting go of the past. Forgiveness allows us to just close the door and move on. Learning to say, that I did the best I could at that point. Now I'm moving on. And also learning to forgive other people who may have hurt us, or may have hurt you, and learning to let them go as well. You no longer need to change that person, whoever that person is, but you can forgive them, you can close the door, close that chapter, whatever metaphor you want to use, and then move on from that. And then looking at what your actual talents are. You may want to go and see somebody about this. If you're caught up in a very negative sense of self, it may be difficult for you to understand what your talents are. But actually, if you get somebody like myself or another coaching professional, for example, they will help you see, we would help you see what sort of skills and talents that you have from a neutral perspective. Looking at that and then helping you build upon those skills and talents, taking stock of your pros and your cons so that you minimise your weaknesses and enhance your strengths. I hope those thoughts and ideas have been useful. It's a challenging thing to do to improve one's self-esteem. It involves sort of quite a serious commitment to a long-term piece of work. When it's achieved, though, the sense of freedom is quite awesome, and the sense of capacity to achieve things in the world is quite awesome. I would thoroughly encourage you to embark upon this journey. If you're a bit lost, you're not quite sure how to get on with this, then give me a call. I can give you a few tips. Maybe we'll do a few sessions just to sort of get the ball rolling. If there's some trauma and issues from the past which are blocking you, definitely give me a call. We can help you process that and move on from it. I hope this has been useful, and I hope to see you again in another video. Do leave any comments you like on the website, underneath the blog, or on the video itself, underneath the video in the YouTube channel. Be good to hear from you, or send me your thoughts via email. The ways to contact me are through my mobile, which is 07506 319 745. That's 07506 319 745. Or email me at info@noelmcdermott.net. That's info@noelmcdermott.net. Thanks for joining me. Hope to see you again sometime soon. Bye bye.